All right, well, today starts the disassembly of the roof stuff. So I'm gonna get up on this ladder and get all that screw trim removed off of that's all the side trim way up here, and get all the screws removed on down both sides and the front cap, and then I can get up here and start removing sealant. I want to wait till it kind of heats up a little bit, removing that sealant to get to those screws on like all the vent caps, the front cap seal and all that stuff. So much easier to get that sealant off after it's warmed up a bit. I could use a heat gun on it, but I've got other stuff to do, so I'm just going to wait for the temperature to warm up. It's supposed to be about 94 here today, so yeah, should heat it up pretty good. I'm going to get all this trim removed. I got my awning off last night, so everything on both sides, all along there and across the front, and that should, you know, take me a good hour or two, and then it'll be warm enough I can start working on the roof. Get that old luggage rack off, all the vents, the solar panel, the air conditioner's got to come off, so get moving on that. My goal is to get this done. We've got a good clearing in the weather. We're supposed to be warm and sunny without any rain in the forecast, knock on wood, for about 7 to 10 days. So I'm going to try to get all this stuff done in 7 days. I'll have to take a few breaks in between for some jobs that I've got, and some inspection jobs, and then letting like sealant cure overnight and stuff like that. So 7 to 10 days of clear weather, so 7 to 10 days of working on the roof. All right, so this corner's good. It's all solid. It's that corner over there. It's bad. I got all the screws out. I'm gonna go and get these little junky gutters, which I'm gonna replace. And then just kind of peel this trim back. I'm gonna get my razor knife, get up on the roof and go all along this top edge, because that's all sealant. All right, so if you're cutting this sealant and you're not replacing your roof, be very careful, because the rubber membrane on these wraps around this edge and goes underneath this trim, and you don't want to cut that rubber membrane. But since I'm replacing the roof, I'm just gonna go at it with the knife and not worry about it. All right, and get your razor knife and cut the sealant all along the bottom too. So if you've got, so you can see that #1 nose curbside. These are in sections, so I'm gonna number each piece: curbside, street side, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. Because even in just a few days, I'll forget where those were supposed to go. All Alright, so I got all these laid out and labeled. I'll get them all cleaned up. I'm going to flip them over so the old butyl tape doesn't stick to my back patio, but I'll get my scrapers out and clean all these up before they go back on, of course. And I got to clean all this up, and you know, all this old butyl tape needs to come off, and then I'll get my little staple puller and get all these staples out as well. You can see, you know, they only pulled the roof over, what, ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch. So again, these little plastic scrapers, I got a whole bunch of them, you know, different sizes and stuff. Using the wide one here to get all this stuff scraped off. Just a little tip, when you're done scraping everything off, go along the ground and pick up all this butyl tape, otherwise you'll be tracking it in. It sticks to your shoes and sticks to everything, and it gets tracked in everywhere. So either lay a tarp down or a cloth, or you know, just go and pick all this stuff up when you're done, so you don't go tracking it around your house and in your car and every place else. All right, well, instead of using my little staple puller like I did when I was pulling staples out of the floor when I got all that carpet out of the truck camper, I'm just going to use my multi-tool with the cutter blade on it. It should be a little bit quicker and you know, clean it up real good. Again, make sure that you pick up all your stuff when you're done cutting everything, so you're not getting little staples stuck in your shoes. I always drag a magnet. I've got an old speaker magnet that I drag along my work area to pick up all the old screws, nails, staples, or whatever, anything metal that's you know, come out of all this garbage that I'm tearing out. You can see you pick up all kinds of fun stuff. Screw heads, staples, nails. And I've already done 2 passes with this. I'm not going to show all that. You guys get the idea. All right, so all the staples are out all the way down, and that's just loose. Now I just need to do the same thing to the other side. This is going to be very interesting to see. I mean, I know what it's going to look like under there, but you guys are going to just be like, whoa. Get the rest of these screws out. All right, so it's about 95 degrees ambient temperature, which means the roof temperature is good and hot. It makes it real easy to scrape the sealant off. As a matter of fact, in some spots you don't have to scrape it at all. If you can see the screw heads, just put the bit on there and it'll come right up. I've just got a kind of an assortment of tools here, scrapers and the tool there for pulling the screw heads out if they get stripped, and then a larger scraper. So with the temperature, even in the shade, you know, being so warm, you can expose those screw heads pretty easily. You know that they're spaced about 2 inches apart, so I just kind of dig the bulk of it off and then hit the rest of it with the drill. Try to do this one without, just kind of find the screw head right there. Pulls right out. All right, so more repairs. That's pretty I mean, obviously the OSB is going to get replaced, but this stuff got wet. It's solid. So after I get their OSB decking off, the old stuff off, and the rubber roof, I'll see what the extent of the damage is. So I might just go ahead and replace this framework for the 14x14 fan. Not a big deal. But there's one by all the way around the perimeter too that the OSB decking sits on, so I'm sure that's all rotten out. So I'll have to find the end of the rot, cut it, and then replace with fresh wood. Alright, so this other vent is out, 14x14 vent. This was not a powered fan, and there's no power here, so when I've got the decking off, I'll run 12 volt over here just for future, just in case. I'm going to actually put a skylight here, but I will run 12 volt power over to it in case I want to put in another fan. All right, so next are the plumbing covers. The solar panel, 100-watt solar panel. That's a Renogy panel. I'm going to pull that off. It's not going back on the roof, but I'm going to pull that off, and the wiring cap for the chase that goes down between the two. Well, this will be funny. It goes down that bulkhead right there. So I'll get those pulled and work on the air conditioner and the rest of the stuff up front. Alright, so I've got all the screws out of this rear cap trim, and almost every one of them except for two of them in here were pretty well rusted out. So anyway, I've got all this cut, and now I can pretty much just lift this piece of trim out with a little bit of prying, and then this clearance light cap that's plastic, and it's got a crack in it, and I'm going to do a repair. I'll look at what kind of plastic it is, and I might be able to do like melt some plastic to fix the crack there, but I'll look at it and get all this stuff cleaned up. Got the rack pretty much all taken off and get it down on the ground. These last two clips here. So that looks pretty bad in the corner, but it's mainly just the OSB that has rotted away. The other wood solid. I'm probably going to cut that out anyway and replace it with new, just because I'm in here and it's, you know, relatively easy to do. All right, I'm going to keep moving forward. All right, well, you can see how much butyl tape was in here, and all the screw holes are rusty. So water got in through the top where the screw holes are at some point, and got the wood wet. And then once the wood gets wet, you know, and it starts to find its way, just channels through, and that's rotten so bad at the plumbing cap because it probably got in through the screw holes at the plumbing cap. So when we reinstall all this stuff, we're going to make sure that we double or triple seal all of this. So I'll show you what happens on these types of plumbing caps, these vent caps. These are two-piece. They have 3 mounting holes for the top, and this piece just comes off, right? Well, when they install them, they put the base down, goop a bunch of sealant on the outside, and then they place this cap on top and run a screw in. Well, they'll seal over the top of the screw, but they don't seal back behind. And what happens, you can see that that's the plastic right there. There's no sealant. No sealant there. So, water gets here, runs down there, just across the plastic, underneath the base where there's no sealant, right down the screw hole on every one. So, if you've got these types of two-piece plumbing caps, either change them out or remove this top piece and put a bunch of sealant down in here and screw it back in, seal over the top of the screws. All right, well, I think that's going to be it for today. Got most of the stuff stripped off the roof, at least on the back side. Still got to remove the air conditioner and my refrigerator vent, my TV antenna, and my front emergency egress hatch. That's got to come out. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. I might replace that with a large skylight that lifts up, that I can, it can double as a emergency exit if we need it. But I kind of like to have that clear plastic lens instead of the the white. So might do something like that. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, that'll be on some future videos. Tomorrow I'm going to try to get the rest of this roof off, and hopefully some or all of the OSB decking, and then we can start cleaning everything up, making repairs, and putting it back together. So we'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.